welcome back to Glow's Kitchen. I'm Gloria Mezakowski, and I have a special guest with me today, my grandson William, 6 years old, and he's going to be assisting me with some recipes. The first being vanilla sugar cookies. And while William was waiting for the cameras to roll, he already started to do a lovely sugar cookie. The ingredients are all here, the toppings, and he has quite an array of toppings to choose from sprinkles to candy-coated sesame seeds and worms, gummy worms, shoestrings, and again chocolate sprinkles and confetti sprinkles. And what I did is I used here, for this demonstration, I used a deviled egg holder. Another good idea would be just a muffin tin, and you could hold that in. Now I've given William some cookies here so he can make it for his brother Ethan and his sister Isabella, and he's going to be working at this. I'm going to apply a coating of frosting to one cookie at a time while I make the dough and also show you the process. So William, we'll just take this here and you can begin to decorate that cookie. And I'd just like to show you these. I cut these shoestrings. They are awesome. They're all different colors and great for children to enjoy for decorating cookies. This is my dough, and it rolls out easily. And I use either a 3 or 4 inch glass to cut out the circles. For the purpose of this particular cookie show, we're just doing a 3.5 inch round cookie. And we're placing it on a tray coated with parchment paper. Now, this particular dough is 3 cups of flour, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and a teaspoon of baking soda. And what you do with the flour is you take, set it all, the flour mix, set it aside, and then you take 2 sticks of unsalted butter and you beat that up in a mixer, add a cup of sugar, and really beat it for about 3 to 4 minutes. And then you're going to add 2 eggs and 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Mix it all till it's a real good consistency, and then you'll take and cut the dough in half, wrap it in cellophane, and place it in the refrigerator for about an hour. And that's why I am doing this. I had to let this rest out in the air for a while in order, and if it does stick, just take a little flour, put it underneath, and you can just trim it around. But I let this rest for a little while before I rolled it out, and as you can see, it rolls out easily. I let it, it's usually about a 1/4 inch thickness, and that makes a lovely cookie. Now, what I'm going to do, and you can see you can get many more cookies from this mix, but I'm going to place this in the oven, and we'll set this aside, and I'll show you a finished tray. This tray, just brown around the edges, and we'll place this in the oven for about 15 to 20 minutes, and I usually find that they start turning brown around the edges at 17 minutes. What I do is remove them, place them on a cooling rack, and let them rest for about 5 or 10 minutes, because otherwise the frosting will melt, and you are ready to decorate these lovely vanilla sugar cookies. Now, let's see what William did. We have, wow, that is beautiful. Look at this. what a medley. Do you want to try one?
Yes.
Really? Which one would you like to try?
This one.
Can I try this one?
Yes.
Okay. So this is what our delightful vanilla sugar cookie is looking like. Mmm. Mmm. That is delicious.
This cookie.
So when we're off camera, William will continue to make more cookies for his brother and sister. But this particular cookie recipe is delightfully easy. I hope you'll try it with your family and enjoy. The next dessert we're going to introduce, and William is helping me with this one too, is a favorite, and that is tiramisu. When you go to a restaurant, no matter if it's an Italian restaurant, American, you name it, usually you're going to find tiramisu on the menu. And I have a recipe here that is so simple. I just want to show you that in just a few minutes you can have that delicious dessert on your kitchen table. And William is going to help me with the final touches. What we do here is take ladyfingers, and they're split. When you purchase them, they're usually over. You do split side up. And in this case, I use 24 ladyfingers split side up. They come in 6 in a row, and you can squeeze them together because it'll fill in some of the spaces and it'll hold the pudding mix quite well. The next step is to take a mixture of 3 teaspoons of instant coffee granules and a ½ cup of boiling water. This has been cooled down now. And you take and drizzle the coffee on the ladyfingers.
And this will taste very good at the end.
And William says this will taste very good at the end, so we will take your word for it. So here we have most of the liquid saturating the ladyfingers. The next step is to take vanilla pudding, instant vanilla pudding, and follow the package directions. It is very easy when you take 2 cups of cold milk and you blend it for 2 minutes, and then you let it rest for 2 minutes. You also make 1½ cups of whipped cream, blend it with 3 tablespoons of confectioner sugar, and then begins the process of folding the whipped cream into the pudding mix. When I say folding, I mean take your spatula and keep turning it over like so for at least a couple of minutes. And what you come out with is something that looks like this. Well blended tiramisu mix. And you take about 7 ladlefuls and drop them nicely onto the ladyfingers. And then I have a lovely spatula. Wait till you see. I have a very neat spatula that takes and smooths them right across. Watch this. This is a beautiful, this is a frosting knife too. You just take, you want to hold on with me? Go ahead. Awesome. Let's do the other side. Okay. And once this is all covered, I have one that is ready-made, has been chilled for a while, so it's easy to work with. And we're going to take and put another layer of ladyfingers on top of the first layer. William is helping me press it down. Okay, now we take and add the coffee. And we are ready to put on another layer of pudding mix. And we'll just take and pour it on.
And then smooth it out again.
And smooth it out. Why don't you try it with a small spatula? And then I'll fill in. Good. Excellent. Beautiful. Thank you. Okay, now I have one that is completely ready for the baking cocoa process. We put this into a little tea strainer, and what I do first, I'll show William, is I shake it side to side just to get a little bit of coverage. But you know, when you buy this out in the stores, it is completely covered. So what I would like William to do now is shake it up and down. Go ahead. Up and down. Good. Beautiful, and just fill in the little spaces if you still see some pudding mix. Usually it's around the edges. And usually 2 tablespoons of the cocoa mix is enough. And then maybe for the last finishing touches, you can take a little cloth and just wipe around the edges. And what I have here is your finished tiramisu. What I have here is a slice of the finished product. And I asked William if he wanted to try a taste, but that's not one of his favorites. So I will show you that this is the best. It's light and it is so tasty. So I hope you try this, because when people think of tiramisu, they think it's very difficult. And I hope by watching this process that you saw how easy it was. Thank you. The next dessert that William is going to watch and help me with is an awesome apple strudel. This is called Becky's apple strudel, and it's named after my mother-in-law, and I never had the good fortune to meet her because she had passed on before I met and married my husband Merrill. But she was a great cook and baker, and her apple strudel has lasted so that now her great-great-grandchildren can enjoy it as well. What I have in front of me is a piece of dough that I'm just going to roll out a little bit more, and you try to make a big thin rectangle using 2½ cups of flour, a teaspoon of baking powder, and a half a teaspoon of salt. And what you do is you take and sift all of those ingredients. You make a well and you add 2/3 of a cup of cold water, an egg, and 1/4 of a cup of oil. Blend it all together until it wraps around a dough hook. You'll take it out and then you'll put it in a bowl and just let it rest for about a half an hour. And this is the end result, what you will get. You have to take and peel and chop 3 apples and add cinnamon and sugar. Now I cut the apples into about 1/4 to 1/2 inch pieces. And I want to show you a most interesting chopping bowl and chopper that I use. I put some of it into the bowl and I just chop it a little bit more so the pieces are evenly distributed and fine. This chopping bowl was my mother's and I love using it, and this is over 70 years old, so that it really is a special item to work with in the kitchen. And on the back, my husband even sealed up a crack many years ago, and it works. And these are the chopped apples ready for the strudel. First step, what you do is take oil, and William will watch and he will help me add the items. This is regular canola or vegetable oil. Make sure you cover the entire surface. Okay. Now I'm going to ask William to take the breadcrumbs, put them on the middle. And these are panko crumbs. You may certainly use breadcrumbs if you'd like, but I find panko crumbs are just as good. They have a nice texture and absorb the juices from the apple. Next, we add the nuts, and I use walnuts right in the center. And if you notice, I don't chop them fine. I try to make sure that there are still some chunks in there so that when you bite into the strudel, you enjoy tasting the nuts. The next thing, golden raisins. And the reason why I use golden raisins is because they, go ahead, Hen, because they blend with the apples, and aesthetically they look a lot better than the dark raisins. And you can see how they blend. Then we take and make sure you leave about a 2 to 3 inch ridge and add your apples, again about 3 to 4 inches. Make sure it's fairly uniform. Take this dough, wrap it over the apples, and it is so nice to work with. This is a very easy, pliable dough. You get to the end, turn it around like a horseshoe, and fold under the ends like so. And I already have one on a pre-sprayed, you spray it with oil, a pre-sprayed pan, and you usually can fit about 2 to a pan. And make sure you add the oil. I gotta do the oil first. and then more cinnamon and sugar. And you are able to get it if you put your hands underneath, or you can use a spatula, but it holds very, very well. And just place it on the plate, on the pan. And then what you have to do is you have to take and make 10 slits so the steam
1,
will come out of
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
We'll do 9, but there are 10 pieces. So that, you're right, William. So there you have it, and you put it in a 350-degree oven for 42 to 45 minutes. And if you want, you can also add more cinnamon and sugar to the inside lining of the dough. The apples have enough cinnamon and sugar in them, but you can certainly sprinkle more if you like a sweeter strudel. And here you go. You put this in the oven, and I will show you the results are a beautiful, crisp strudel. And you take, ordinarily what I do is I slide it off onto a cooling rack and then place it on a cutting board. And I usually slide it each time, it just makes it easier. And you take, because you have the slits, you take and cut on either side gently, and you can get a beautiful piece of strudel. If you cut down the middle, it will break apart, like so. And what I have here is, and I don't know if my grandson likes strudel. Do you, hon? No. So I'll sample it. And as you see, I know one person who would love to sample it, and that's my husband, and it's his favorite, but I'll sample it for him. Delicious. So, when you think of apple strudel, just realize, basically, it's very easy. Take your time. The dough is what matters. The dough is very easy to work with. And I certainly hope you tune in next time to more wonderful recipes and desserts from Glo's Kitchen. And I want to thank my grandson for joining me, and I'd like to ask you to come back again soon.
Okay.
Will you?
Yes.
Thank you.